Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a comment, and please think about subscribing. And hey, remember, watching just 30 seconds of an ad helps us creators more than you know. You're awesome. Have an amazing day. Let's begin.
My husband secretly gave me termination pills. He says I have defective genes because I have a disabled twin brother. Hi Reddit. I don't know what I'm looking for here. Validation? Closure? Maybe I just want to say this out loud and know someone heard it. This is going to be long. There's no short version of this story. My name's Rachel, and I'm 34. My ex-husband, Jake, is 36, and from the wealthiest family in our city. When we met, he was the golden boy. Tailored suits, private education, expensive watch that gleamed in every restaurant light. He had the polished charm of someone who never had to suffer. Never had to scrape or beg or worry. But I did. And I wasn't ashamed of it. Because I knew who I was. I am happy with who I am, what my life has become, and the people I allow in it. But the absolute best part of me would have to be Eli, my twin brother. Eli and I were born 7 minutes apart. He is the kindest, sweetest person you'll ever meet, but unfortunately, he has had to endure a challenging life. When Eli was born, umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck and the delivery team was slow. He was without oxygen for nearly 4 minutes. The result was severe, irreversible brain damage. He has the mental capacity of a very young child and the emotional openness of a saint. He can't live independently. He speaks in broken sentences. He's loud when he's excited, scared of dogs, and once threw a plastic plate at my ex-husband because he thought it would make him laugh. Eli is everything to me. When we were 20, our parents died in a car accident. A drunk driver hit them head-on. From then on, it was just Eli and me. I took care of him until I could get him into a group home that treated him with dignity. I visit him every other day. He calls me sis and greets me like a golden retriever who's missed me for 1,000 years. He draws me crayon pictures. He hums when I braid his hair. He smells like fruit snacks and baby shampoo. Jake never liked Eli. I didn't see it at first, not really. When we started dating, Jake would smile politely and pat Eli's shoulder like he was petting a child. He said the right things. I assumed the awkwardness was just unfamiliarity. But over time, that mask slipped. Once, it was our 4th anniversary. I thought it would be sweet to take Eli to a nice lunch before Jake and I had dinner together later. The restaurant was upscale but not uptight. I'd called ahead and explained my brother's condition and asked for special arrangements to be made. They said they were happy to accommodate. I thought that I had covered all my bases. I thought this was going to be a night for family bonding and celebration with no hiccups. It didn't exactly go that way. We were seated fairly quickly, which made me breathe a sigh of relief. I could see Jake was already tense and I just wanted to get Eli settled in as soon as possible. Jake's shoulders were stiff, and his eyes kept flicking around as if looking for anyone that would recognize him. Eli was humming to himself, tapping his fork gently on the table. I warned him, softly, "No tapping your fork, buddy." He nodded and smiled. Then, the waiter dropped a tray nearby, glass shattered. Eli screamed. Not loud, but sharp. He grabbed the salt shaker and threw it. Jake's wine spilled. Eli started sobbing and slapping his own head with the heel of his palms. I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go. Jake stood abruptly, the chair scraping across the polished floor. Everyone stared. Get him out, he hissed. Now. I tried calming Eli, but it was no use. I led him out, cradling him, cooing in his ear. We dropped Eli back at his group home. He was still sniffling. The care worker gave me a sympathetic look. I told her to give him special care tonight. She smiled, nodded, and closed the door. Jake didn't speak until we were halfway home. You embarrassed me, he muttered. He couldn't help it, I replied defensively. We've had this conversation so many times. I could feel my blood pressure rising. It's not about what he can help. It's about you. What kind of woman brings a man-child to a place like that? You made us look like freaks. My stomach turned to stone. His harsh words cut like a knife. I said nothing. There really was no point. This wasn't the first time he'd used derogatory language in regard to my brother. The first few times I thought it was just ignorance, mixed with his hot temper. I figured if I coach him on proper terminology and when he got to know Eli he would grow to love him. But that never happened. Eventually he took the "if he doesn't have anything nice to say don't say anything at all" road. He avoided Eli at all costs. I sat quiet in the passenger's seat and just let him stew. He would calm down eventually and be back to normal by morning. But would I? Lately I've been noticing things in our marriage that refuse to sit well with me, and not just his treatment of Eli. The boldness and confidence I used to admire, I can now see it for what it always was: obnoxiousness and faux bravado. The years have become stale. Gone is the adventurous man that would whisk me off to a new adventure every other week. It's all become harsh stares and rushed mumble conversations. I feel like I'm living with a stranger. As I sat staring out the window, for the first time ever, I considered leaving him. Months later, I came home to find Jake sitting on the edge of our bed, arms folded like a CEO about to fire someone. Without even greeting me, he started to speak. "I've been thinking," he said. "And I can't do this anymore." My heart pounded in my throat. He continued. "I can't build a family with someone who's that attached to that." I knew what he meant. He didn't even say Eli's name. Just called him that. "What are you talking about?" He stood, walked to the window, the city lights behind him. "I'm saying I want a real life. A real family. I can't live my whole life waiting for the next Eli tantrum. I won't risk having a child like that. And frankly, my parents are starting to ask questions." "Risk?" I said. "Eli isn't disabled because of genes. It was a birth injury. I've told you that 1,000 times." "You say that," he snapped. "But how do you know? What if you're carrying the same defect?" "I'm not gambling with my bloodline." "His bloodline?" He said the words like he was royalty. "You need to choose," he said, eyes cold. "Me. Or him." I remember the moment exactly. The hum of the fridge. The faint tick of the hallway clock. I remember how still I stood, how everything inside me suddenly froze like someone had pulled the plug on my heart. "You're asking me to abandon my brother. I'm asking you to grow up." That night I left. I couldn't stand to be near Jake for another moment. I slept in Eli's old twin bed at the group home. Eli wrapped his arm around me in his sleep and mumbled, "Don't cry, sis." A few weeks later, I missed my period. I stared at the test in disbelief. It read pregnant. I didn't know how to feel. Excited? Terrified? I hadn't told Jake yet. Part of me was afraid. But I started rubbing my belly already. Started whispering, "You're going to be so loved." Above all, this was a blessing. This is exactly what my marriage needed. When Jake came home, I ran up to him and gave him a hug. He looked shocked. The last few weeks had been icy with us ever since his soft ultimatum, and I knew he wasn't expecting my sudden mood shift. I told him the news with a huge smile on his face, but I did get the reaction I was hoping for. A litany of emotions ran across his face. Confusion, fear, contemplation. Then nothing. He finally opened his mouth to speak, and his voice was oddly flat although he had a smile on his face. "That's great. That's it." That's all he said about it. He then changed the subject and told me he had a dinner meeting with a client and to not wait up. He then walked off towards our room. A couple of minutes later I heard the shower turn on. That was odd. I figured maybe he was still processing the news. I'll give him a few days, and I know he will be floating around just like me. He's happy. I knew he was. I deluded myself for days all the way until I found the pills. I was looking for a charger in Jake's nightstand drawer when I found the unmarked bottle. Curious, I googled the pill markings and froze at the results. They were termination drugs. The kind prescribed to end pregnancies in the first trimester. There were already pills missing. I started to panic immediately. I hadn't taken them. Which meant he had given them to me without my consent. Maybe crushed them into tea? Ground them into the soup I made last night? My hands went cold. My ears rang. I ran to the kitchen and vomited in the sink. Next, I went to the fridge and started throwing everything out. I didn't know what was and what wasn't safe. That night, I confronted Jake. I threw the bottle at him. You tried to kill our baby. He didn't deny it. Didn't even look guilty. I did what needed to be done. You're a monster. You're irrational, he said. You're ruled by emotion. I was protecting both of us. From what? I screamed. From a child that might need extra care? From someone like Eli? Yes, he barked. Exactly that. He picked up the bottle and stormed out the door with it, no doubt going to destroy the evidence. I was so stupid, I didn't take pictures of the bottle or anything. I lost the baby 2 weeks later. Alone. In the bathtub. I sat in silence for hours afterward, staring at the water until it turned cold. I finally pulled myself together. I had to tell someone. People needed to know what he did. I phoned Jake's sister Lena with shaking hands. Lena and I had always been fairly close. We've come to each other in the past with problems. Called each other just to chat. We hung out a few times and even went on a couple girl trips with zero drama. Bottom line, I thought she wasn't just Jake's sister, but a good friend of mine. I don't know what I expected her to say, but not what she said. After the first ring, she picked up. Before she could say hello, my words spilled it all. After I finished telling her about the marital strife, the pregnancy, the pills, and our loss. The other end of the phone was silent. Hello? I asked, wondering if she was still there. I'm here, she whispered. Her voice sounded weird. I heard laughter in her background. I knew the voice. It was her best friend Marissa. Now's not really a good time, Rachel. I was stunned. Did you hear what I just said? Jake could have killed me. I really don't want to get involved with your drama. Jake has explained his apprehension about your ability to give him a healthy heir, and we all agree and stand by his decisions. Think of the bright side, Rachel, you probably would have resented the kid eventually anyway. You big dash, she cut me off immediately. Look, I gotta go. Click. The call disconnected. I looked at my phone in disbelief and I started to pace the floor in frustration. Should I call the police? I have no proof of what he did. Wouldn't it be his word against mine? What if he says I took them voluntarily and now I'm trying to frame him? His family has some of the best attorneys in the country on speed dial. I needed someone to take this seriously. In my frazzled mind, there was one person I could think of that might be rational. I decided to call my mother-in-law next, but that was an even bigger mistake. Jake was actually there and had already spun a story that painted me as emotional and delusional. This time I hung up. The moment she started her spiel about reputations and keeping this quiet for the sake of their family, I felt so alone and stupid. Of course, they would take his side. This was a family that took pride in public appearances. Common decency was for the poor. I didn't know what else I could do. But I didn't know that I didn't need to worry about my next move because Jake had played his final hand. The very next day, I came home from visiting Eli and could tell right away that something was wrong. The silence in the house was too perfect, almost hollow. I walked into our bedroom, and the moment I opened the closet door, I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. Empty. Every hanger was bare. Every drawer yanked open and stripped clean. His favorite watch, the one he claimed was a legacy piece, was gone. His cologne, the custom suits, even the cufflinks his father gave him for graduation. Gone. I stumbled into the kitchen. On the marble countertop, there was nothing but his house key and a crumpled receipt from some boutique hotel downtown. No note. No explanation. No apology. Then my phone buzzed. A voice message from an unknown number. I pressed play with trembling fingers. I've moved on, Jake's voice said, cold and smooth and straight to the point. Marissa understands me. Don't contact me, Rachel. Marissa? His sister's best friend. The one who always looked at him just a little too long. Who once laughed when I slipped in heels at a party and never offered a hand. Who used to call me charity case behind my back before pretending to be my bridesmaid. That Marissa. It all clicked. The late nights. The weekends working. Lena pulling away, growing colder. They'd known. They'd all known. I should have cried. But I didn't. Instead, I exhaled, one long, full breath. It was like my lungs had been underwater for years and someone had finally pulled me up. I felt numb, and of course I was sad. I grieved the could-have-beens. The version of us that might have existed in a world with more understanding and patience. But I coped well. This was my new normal and I had to adjust. Reality hit fast. The prenup was airtight. I'd signed it with stars in my eyes, convinced we'd never split, never fall apart. All the assets were his. The house. Both our cars, he had registered mine in his name under the guise of simplifying insurance. The vacation homes I'd only ever visited once. The boat I hated. All I walked away with was a $50,000 settlement. Enough to start over. Not enough to undo the damage. I had 30 days to move out. 30 days to find a place, get a new car, and rebuild the scaffolding of a life that had been kicked out from under me. But I wasn't broken. I wasn't completely adrift. I still had my wits about me. I still have my education to fall back on. I had a degree in computer science. Nearly a decade of experience. A sharp mind. A sharper sense of who I was. I could do this. I will get back to how I used to be. The housewife of a millionaire was nice, I will admit, but never who I really was. I'm ready for the next chapter in my life. Update, 8 months later. It was a random Tuesday when my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. 90% of the time it's from someone I don't want to talk to, but some gut instinct said, answer it. Rachel? The voice was raw. Familiar. Trembling. It was Jake. My skin went cold. The hair on my arm stood up. I knew this wasn't going to be good. Are you there? He asked. What do you want? I asked, flatly. He took a shaky breath. I need help. Please. I said nothing. Just listened. It's Marissa. She conned us. She told my parents she was a financial advisor, Lena backed her up. Said she could grow their estate. They trusted her. I trusted her. She rerouted everything, bank accounts, investments, even the family trust. There was a pause, then a bitter laugh. She transferred it all offshore. Some shell company in the Caymans. Then she disappeared with some guy from Spain. His name's Raphael or something. We're ruined, Rachel. I sat down slowly on the edge of my bed. Of course, we pressed charges, but the lawyer said it could take years to track her down. In the mean, we're living off credit and loans from family and friends. My parents had to sell their vineyard. The cars. Even the family foundation is gone. I'm living in a rented studio in Midtown. I take the bus now, Rachel. I stifled a chuckle. I could picture him, the $1,000 suits traded for clearance rack polos. No private chef, no housekeeper, no butler answering the door. What do you want from me? I asked, amused. You always knew what to do, he said. You're good with money, with strategy. You always kept us stable. Please, just help me figure this out. You're the only person who ever really understood me. I let the silence stretch until it felt like gravity. Then I said, calmly and clearly, I have nothing for you, Jake. Click. I hung up. I blocked his number. That was it. No long drawn-out dramatic response. It's been almost a year now. To keep my sanity and focus, I had to push Jake and all the baggage that came with him to the very back of my mind. Getting into a conversation with him right now would just tempt a resurgence, and I didn't need that in my life right now. Not to mention the physical and emotional pain from the loss of our child, which he probably caused. I'm not over any of it. I will never help him. At this point in time, I wish him nothing but the worst. Will I always think like this? Probably not. I know hatred is a sickness, a punishment that can jade your views and opinions of people and the world, but I need a lot more time to repair my spirit. Wish me luck, Reddit, on my healing journey and willingness to forgive. Final update, 1 year. Very brief. I am doing so much better. My mind is clear, and my heart light. I bounced back professionally and in my personal life as well. I was able to secure a stable job as a systems architect at a local cybersecurity firm. Life is good. These days, I don't think about Jake unless someone mentions his family in passing, usually followed by an awkward silence and a whispered, "You knew them, right?" Yes. I knew them. I survived them. I heard they haven't been able to bounce back yet since Marissa's fraud. Their name, which used to be revered in town, has become a cautionary tale. Jake never did try to reach out to me again, and I'm happy for that. The biggest news I have is that I am dating again. His name is Noah. He's a kind, quiet man with steady hands and an even steadier heart. I met him at Eli's group home. His younger sister lives there too. She's nonverbal, uses a wheelchair, and lights up like the sun when Noah reads to her in funny voices. That's how we met. He was reading Where the Wild Things Are to his sister, doing all the monster voices. Eli was sitting nearby, giggling uncontrollably. I looked over and saw Noah wink at Eli, toss him a juice box, and say, "Don't tell the nurse." I smuggled that in. I laughed for the first time in what felt like years. He asked me out 3 weeks later. Our first date was a picnic in the park, Eli included. We played Uno and fed ducks and ended the day sticky with ice cream and sunburnt noses. Noah doesn't flinch when Eli yells. He doesn't cringe when Eli asks the same question over and over. He talks to him like an equal. Brings extra crayons and puzzle books. He taught Eli how to skip rocks and never complains when Eli accidentally hits his own foot instead. We're thinking about getting married next spring. It'll be a simple garden wedding. Small, quiet, joyful. Eli will walk me down the aisle. I already know I'll cry. Not because I'm sad. This is the life I never knew I could have. One built on patience and compassion and real love. Not status. Not power. Not manipulation. Jake is a footnote in someone else's story now. And me? I'm finally free.